Good morning, Chicago and the rest of the world. Welcome to the Money, Sex, Gen X podcast. I am your host with the most, the man with the plan, the Scotty Pimpin. Podcast Pimpin. Mr. Eric McLeod. I am never alone. I am joined by the G of Genius Lab, a dope cat curating dope people, music mogul in the making, Rashid Wallace of Podcast Knowledge, my brother, my co-host, Big Stu.
You already know what's happening, E.
What's up, man? How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. For whatever reason, man, I'm vibrating very, very high this morning, man.
Good.
How are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm feeling your energy. It's helping me out quite a bit. I had a little bit of coffee, so I'm feeling pretty good.
And we were pre-gaming. You mentioned you went to see, and I don't know if we should want to Chanel. Okay. I don't want to. I'm having a great time. But you said, "What's up, Chanel?" You said you went to see Wakanda yesterday. We're gonna talk about that in 1 second, but go to it. But I just check in, man. I'm just full of energy, man, today. So that's what's up. But we're gonna talk about all this today, bro.
No doubt, we're gonna definitely get into it. So welcome to season 6. This is Money, Sex, Gen X episode number 38. We have knocked out 38 episodes, Stu.
Ain't that something, man?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And today's topic is 7 ways to come up. Let me say that right. 7 ways to come up. During a recession. And we're going to get into why we thought that was an important topic. But yeah, man, my wife and I, we went to see Wakanda Forever last night. You know, it was definitely a powerful movie. You know, I think I had a tear drop a couple times.
Wow.
It was heavy.
For you to, wow, it was like that. So I know I better bring the Kleenex if you blinking fast out the corner of your eye.
Yes, sir, man. It really moved me. Very well done. And definitely a great second installment to the first Wakanda. So if you're out there, you didn't see it yet, go check it out.
They say it's it's hard to come with them seconds, man. Them sophomores, man. So they did it. Wow, and I haven't heard anything less than that.
Yeah, man, he did it. So go check that out. And hey, what else is going? Well, I know a lot is going on in the world, so I'm not gonna act like I don't know. But anything that you care to talk about that was on your radar last week or early this week?
I am consumed. So for those of you who know me, and for those who don't know me, I'm a huge fan of Kanye. So we won't get into it, but that's I've tried to turn it off. I've tried to turn away because it's just been too much. Meaning I've been putting too much time and paying attention to it. So, but the one thing is, I love the artistry of comedians. And I've had a chance to watch Dave Chappelle's opening monologue for Saturday Night Live, SNL. Okay. And I was pleasantly impressed. And then the one thing I hope that we don't lose in our battle to continue to have freedom of speech is comedians' ability to, continue to be comedians, man, without,
no doubt.
that. So Dave Chappelle did a great job. If you haven't had a chance to see it, check it out. So that's what's been on my radar a little bit.
Okay, I'm definitely going to check that out as soon as we wrap this up. I can't wait. My wife told me to watch that as well. And I know we had stuff going on with Kyrie. So we're probably going to do an episode to kind of get into that a little bit coming up real soon. So stay tuned to that. Hey, if you like thought-provoking conversations, you're in the right place. This is Money, Sex, Gen X. If you have not already, definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel. All you got to do is type in Money, Sex, Gen X. Stu, we are now streaming in 48 countries, 402 cities globally. All right? So we out there. You can find us on Apple Music, Spotify, and all of the major streaming platforms. And guess what? If you want to be a guest on an upcoming episode, all you got to do is hit us up, send us an email, Money, Sex, Gen X podcast at Gmail. Do I have that right?
Yeah, it's something.
Something like that.
we gotta get our production staff back, man.
We're a little rusty, but
We're a little rusty. No, it's
yes.
hit them up at emcloyd at moneysexgenxpodcast.com. Hit them up. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and just put it right here. I'm about to drop. Watch how fast I do this. Boom. Hit them up right there, y'all. Did I do that right? Did I do that right?
Is it up there?
Is it up there? Nope. Here it is. There it is, right there.
Thank you, my brother.
There it is.
There it is. Hit us up. And you might be like, well, I want to be on there. I don't know what you all are going to be talking about. It's going to be either money, sex, or Gen X. So if you want to talk about that, we'll tell you the exact episode, but just let us know you're interested and we'll figure something out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So today, Stu, we are definitely getting into this recession conversation. I definitely want to hear your thoughts. I got to hear a little bit from you in the pregame. I thought about this one because I continue to see a lot of tech layoffs. People are getting layoffs in general out here quite a bit right now. And, things are just not really good on the job front. What are your thoughts about recession? Are we in a recession right now? Or are we approaching in a recession?
So it's so interesting. I should have studied economics, and I desire to study some version of economics. I understand the economic definition of a recession being, three, and I got it kind of messed up, like 3 consecutive quarters of, reduced GDP, something of that nature. It's something around that. But that ain't how I measure a recession. A recession is measured by my microeconomics, right? What's happening in my world?
No doubt.
We're in a recession, brother, and it's a tight recession.
I hear you.
So as far as I'm concerned, for some of us, the recession has already begun.
Okay, I feel that. And guess what? I'm in the same boat. When we go to the gas pump, it's ridiculous. We go get food, ridiculous. Child care, everything is extremely high. You go out to try to get a mortgage right now, the interest rates are ridiculous. Car notes, anything you go get is just way more expensive than it normally is. So I agree. And so let's get into the classic definition real quick, even though I agree more with Stu's, which is a recession can be defined as a sustained period of weak or negative growth in the real GDP output. And I'm going to get into what the GDP is. But that is accompanied, and this is the reason why I want to do this, by a significant rise in unemployment. So we're already there.
So it's so funny because I saw that news article last week that said unemployment was at an all-time low. I didn't buy it.
Nah.
It's so interesting because I traveled a couple of weeks ago. Early bird flight, I'm gonna pay the cheapest. So early birds and the last flight, first and last, right? First flight. And why is this line out I traveled on an off-peak day, but the point of it is I was talking to the TSA manager. I'm like, man, what is going on? This is unnecessary. He said, nobody wants to work. He can't find good workers in government jobs, that the government is being squeezed for workers.
Okay.
And so that really, and then I saw this article that said unemployment is at an all-time low. It doesn't make sense to me.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Because they keep talking about the what's that quiet quitting revolution?
What is that? Talk to me about that.
Well, and I'm just new to the term, but it's like a lot of people decided to make an exodus from corporate.
Okay.
But some people, they were saying they call it quiet quitting because they started quitting well before they physically left. Like mentally they just quit, so it was just a matter of time before the physical followed later on. And so many people have decided during COVID that they're just really not interested in working in corporate anymore. And so either they actually left or they're in their mind, they're just not as productive as they used to be.
Now, does this do you know if these unemployment numbers also include the numbers from the sharing economy? Amazon, Uber, Airbnb, and like is that included? If I work for Lyft, am I considered? Am I reporting myself as employed or unemployed? Do I? There was I don't remember. I remember being a 1099. I did Uber. I drove for Uber when Uber first came about 2014. Yeah, I was featured in the. That's a whole nother. But I drove for Uber. 1099 contract. So I didn't report it as being employed. Do we know if those numbers are still being reported in these, employment or unemployment rates?
That's a great question. And I don't know if I ever thought about that. I feel like if you're a 1099, then that's a different statistic. That's small business. And I think when they report these unemployment numbers, they're talking about people who are actual like W-2 employees at a company.
Are you seeing in your circle more people working or more people not working?
In my circle, everybody seems to be employed.
And so it's interesting because that's how it is in my circle.
But I will say I don't have a lot of people in my circle that are in the tech industry because that's where I keep hearing the most layoffs in tech. In the most slated layoffs, like I read some articles this morning, they were talking about some layoffs were on the horizon, and they were mainly talking about tech.
Yeah, I did read an article, and I don't know if it's a true article. I haven't done my due diligence. Supposedly, Twitter laid off its entire, or like 98% of its Ghanaian staff in Ghana, which was the only office for Twitter in Africa. So I have to do a little bit more digging. Hey, if you all out there, a couple of people watching live right now, let us know what's happening. Are people employed in your circle? Unemployed? Are you employed? Are you 1099? Are you a boss? Do you have employees? What are you hearing or seeing out there in the live in the chat?
Doubt. And let us know if you feel like we're in a recession right now. I'd love to know that too. Do you feel like we're in a recession? I think Stu and I both agree that we are, but do you feel that way? So technically, I guess the media is saying we're not in a recession, Stu, but we are definitely in a period of weak or negative growth. There is a level of unemployment that's not healthy, whether people can argue whether it's higher or not. Other things that happen during a recession, unemployment rates go up, we said, but people start cutting their workforce because they can't handle the decreased spending from consumers. So another question I would like to ask is like, are people spending less? And we got the holidays coming up. I guess that'll be an indicator. Are people going to buy as many gifts for Christmas this year as they did last year?
That's crazy. Man, your brain, man, and this is one of the reasons why it's hard for me to not rock with you, because you're one of the most thoughtful, intelligent people that I know. You ask some of the best questions. What are your thoughts, man? And what's happening with Christmas spending, holiday spending on your end?
Oh, let me get to this comment on Chanel. She said, I work in securities and have been receiving calls from people who have been laid off or have left their job. Okay. So, yeah, this is definitely a thing. I feel like for Christmas spending is definitely, I know I'm not going to spend as much for Christmas this year. I can tell you that. I mean, we're definitely going to spend less on gifts. I've already prepared people in the family that's what's going to happen. So the more people I talk to, I'm hearing the same things. We're not going to spend as much. We're going to keep a low profile this year, this, that, and the other. And I think it is because of this, Stu, because of the high gas prices, because of the high flight ticket prices and all this stuff. People have just ran through more money this year than they normally would have. And so they just very anxious about spending a lot of money at the end of this year.
We have to do an episode about budgeting and spending.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us had a bag this year.
Mm-hmm.
A lot, man. The spring, beginning of the year, I want a lot of us sat on a bag, bro.
Yeah,
A couple bags.
no
And
doubt.
then summer hit and it just
It was different.
deflated. Yeah. As food, the summer is when we saw $5-6 a gallon of gas.
Right.
We experienced that this year.
Absolutely.
Uh, a 2-piece at Popeyes is $10.
Super high. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that summer was interesting. And I mean, for all of us coaches and consultants out there, and including yourself and myself, summer typically is a slowdown anyway. So, just because a lot of times people are traveling or they're just doing other stuff, but definitely this year with all of the high prices and then the slowdown that already happens, it was definitely not a great time. And it started to pick back up for me like towards the fall, but the summer was very interesting. Very
And
interesting.
and as we break it down, and we're gonna get back into it, we're not gonna do this too long, but at least I don't, but what happened, what I experienced in retrospect, the prices shot up during the summer, and guess what we did? We still went outside and kicked it like nobody's business. So we were complaining about gas as we were at the gas station because we had somewhere to go. Because
Or
it's summer.
complaining about it as you're on a road trip somewhere.
Man, this gas, you 500 miles into the trip talking about how expensive this gas is.
Yes, it's really high. You're almost in California somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
So, hey, I want to be more foreboding, right? As we're doing today on this episode of Money, Sex, Gen X.
No doubt. No doubt. We're going to get into some strategies too. So the unemployment rates are going up. Less hiring, more layoffs. Okay. But also, Stu, and this is where people are really going to feel it. Because I remember when I was in corporate, I actually look forward to this time of year because of bonuses and raises. And they're already forecasting that there are going to be fewer financial incentives offered to people who are employed this year. That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt.
Because it's
Because
normally
a lot of
bonus
people
season.
like myself back then, I used to depend on those bonuses to get those gifts.
That's the Christmas gift money, man. Come on, for sure.
So that's gonna be something else to look for. So now we did have the Great Recession that everybody talks about, and that was from 2007 to 2009. I don't think anybody really disputes whether that was a bad period of time. It lasted about 18 months. Do you remember what was going on with you during that period?
Yes. My house.
Okay.
My house. Yeah, it was I got out of my house.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what happened. You know what I mean? Okay. I was underwater. Yeah. You know what I mean? And got out the house. That was the biggest thing of 09, 10. And so that was the biggest one. And I'm not ready to talk about it yet.
I understand.
I'm not ready to talk about it yet. But that was a big one. What about you? What was happening for you in 09?
Well, thank you for sharing at least that much. We appreciate that. 2007, 2009 was not a good period for me. I was going through a lot in life. Financially, I was living paycheck to paycheck. I remember one time I had to pawn my jewelry, which was very, very, it was just humiliating.
Yeah.
Humiliating.
Yeah.
To be making that much money and have to pawn some jewelry was humiliating. But I didn't even really realize, too, that it was a recession. I just knew I wasn't managing my money well. So that's a whole nother conversation. But I wasn't managing my money well. Plus, there was a recession. Plus, mentally, I was having some challenges. It was rough.
It's so amazing. And I feel this moment. I hope, Chanel, you should be sharing this out. I'd like for you. I know you may be caught up in what we're saying, but if you ain't sharing, please do, because I want to give, Pat E and I both on our own backs, on each other's backs, because we come from don't think that we've always been here.
No.
And the here doesn't necessarily mean isn't measured by what's in the account today. It's the here in awareness and responsibility and accountability financially, right? And so thank you for sharing that, man, because I think a lot of people take this for granted that we just arrived. And no, we've had some embarrassing and humiliating experiences financially over the years. We both have had the bag, lost the bag, had the bag, lost the bag. So
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And if you are anybody out there is on LinkedIn, definitely follow us on LinkedIn. I'm on there. I always talk about things like that, like how I wasted money and all of that. And the reason why is because I need people to understand that you can gain control of your finances. And I know that's not today's topic, but it's somewhat related. No matter what you're going through right now financially, you can get on that other side. And Stu and I are living proof of that. All right.
Absolutely.
So let's get back to this recession thing. So today, the thing is, so we wanted to define what a recession is, right? A period of decline, high unemployment, financial incentives are lower, things look bleak. There's less hiring, layoffs, inflation, all this different stuff. So what do you do about it? And the purpose of today's episode is to basically say, okay, even though there's a recession, it doesn't mean that you have to suffer. You could even come up during a recession. Some people actually do better during a recession than they do in normal times. And so we're going to get into that. So here's our 7 ways. Number 1 is shorting the stock market. Shorting the stock market. Now, Khalil says heavy. So shorting the stock market is what, Stu? What's your definition of that?
Well, in my understanding, to short a stock is to bet that the stock price will go down.
There you go.
As opposed to going up.
There you go. And that's why I like the way we approach these episodes. We're not going to get fancy and use all these fancy. It's just betting against the stock. It's just like if you go somewhere else and bet against something, it's the same thing. Now, billionaires do this all the time. So what they do is they sit back when things are going well, they pile up their cash and they wait for economic downturns. And then they say, you know what? I think that the economy is going to continue to go into a decline, or this specific company, and then they bet against the company. So the share price for Coca-Cola might be $51 today, and they're saying, you know what, I'm going to put some money up to basically say, I think it's going to go down to $49 during this specific time frame. And they make a lot of money doing that, Stu.
Let me also just let people know. You know, advise a professional when it comes to shorting a stock, because you got to be on it. You got to watch it. You got to watch it. I just felt the need to give that disclaimer. Yes, you can come up on stocks losing value. And you are 100% correct. That's how people make money during recessions. They're anticipating things are going to go down, and they place the bet on it to go down.
Absolutely. And since you made that disclaimer, let me make another disclaimer. This episode, we are not offering you financial advice.
No.
This is purely for educational purposes. We are not saying that you should do any of these things. We're merely saying that the things that you can check into and possibly do. Like Stu said, you might want to engage a licensed financial professional to help you, or learn how to do it yourself. However, but you know, it's not something that you just go in and make a selection and just walk away from. People lose a lot of money shorting stocks also because it's not based on anything, any type of foundation.
But I think what's super important to know and understand is that just because so it goes back to that premise, buy low, sell high. People can also, when the stock prices are going down, a lot of people panic and run. A lot of people jump in, right? And so you don't just jump in at, oh, it's low. It's like, oh, you could jump in, prices are going down. Let me short something and make a come up.
That's right.
Oh, man. So Amazon keeps losing money. They've been losing money for a month. Let me throw some money in there and, but you gotta just do your work. Do your work. I'm really nervous about that one a little, E. I don't want anybody jumping in to short a stock and then come back and say, hey, we heard on y'all to short a stock. No, go get educated first. But this is definitely a way that people make bread in the market.
Yeah, and it's just about shifting the mindset, because I know I used to think it was funny when I would watch the news and certain companies weren't doing well. But instead of me thinking it was funny, I could have benefited from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you could have been like, oh, well, Nike stock is going down. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, it's funny. It could be funny, but you could also benefit from it if you prepare yourself.
That part.
So that's number one, shorting the stock. Number two, and this is one of my favorite ones, and I do this often, invest at the bottom of a crash and wait for the economy to bounce back. Now, when we use the word crash, it doesn't necessarily mean that the economy is at its lowest point. We're just talking about here making an investment when something is down, with the mentality that it may go back up at some point and then you can benefit. Let's use Nike again. Say right now Nike is trading at like $40 per share, but it normally trades at 60. And so you reasonably believe that over time it'll get back to where it was. Some people are of the opinion, why not buy it at a discount now when it's at $40 per share? Because over time it will go back up, and then I'm going to be up $20 per share.
So let's take it there, E. Let's take it there real quick. So let me know. Watch this. They can't really see this. Let me try it another way, because I want to.
Yeah, I like that you're trying to pull that up, though. I like that.
Yeah. So, well, here's probably the best way to look at this right here, right? So take a look. If you can see that this is Nike since January 3rd, I believe it is, beginning of this year. Nike's stock price is down 62%. So let's go back to point one. To short it would be to, at the beginning of the year, to anticipate Nike's going to have a rough year financially. Let's capitalize on it. And if you shorted this stock in January, you're having a great year with this short, because it's down 62%. Right. Converse.
Or let me say this real quick, or you might think it's going to continue to decline.
Now, let's move. That's a great point. Now, let's go to point two, though. Waiting on the crash to hit the bottom. So this could also be an opportunity for some people to say, damn, Nike down 62%. Nike is Nike. Let me get in now and anticipate it to come back up. But
there you go.
Is this the bottom?
Well, that's the main thing that I want to point out here. So when you read literature, they say the bottom, but what I'm telling you is it doesn't necessarily have to be the lowest it's ever been. It may just be significantly lower than it normally is. Like Stu was saying, this is 60% lower than it normally is. This could be a good time to jump in.
I love it.
Could be. You got to do your research. You got to decide what kind of trader you are. Are you a technical trader, fundamental, and all that stuff? But once you get all your little systems down, you're like, hey, you know what? Yeah, this is my time to jump in, because I believe it'll get back to where it was before it dropped 60%.
And so I'm so dope of us to be having this conversation, yo. Y'all better get in tune. Y'all better get in tune to have. So don't be lost in this conversation, y'all. Don't be lost in this conversation. That's why we breaking it down to you. What's something else they can do, man?
And if you got any questions, drop them in the chat. We'll be happy to get into them. Okay, so that's number two, right? So that's two. Those are great. We got a couple more to go. Here's one that I love, man. And we're going to get into some fun stuff with this one. So number three is buy when others start panicking. Buy when others start panicking. So what happens is when the market goes down, people start selling stuff. Mm-hmm. They're scared. And so they sell businesses, they sell real estate, they sell stocks and other assets. And some people are like, hey, I'm scared. I need to get out of this stuff ASAP. what you can do is understand that, you know what, this happens in history. Every single time that there's an economic downturn, I'm going to put myself in a position to buy one of these businesses, to buy the real estate, the stock, or whatever assets there are out there. Others are panicking. You jump in and take advantage of it.
Well, Chanel says real estate is her favorite.
Real estate is a good one. I like real estate. I don't necessarily like real estate, but I definitely.
There's the man who's in real estate.
Yeah. Well, I don't like real estate, but I understand the power of it. My wife likes it, though. My wife likes real estate. But yes, real estate is a big deal. There's some deals out there right now, right? There's some deals out there. Interest rates are high, but there are some ways to get around that or to bring those rates down. But there's definitely some deals out there because people are out there panicking. And hey, it could be just because like somebody owns a residential property with multiple units and they're just not doing well. The tenants aren't paying. You know, their loan is messed up. All these different things have happened. Their taxes could have gone up and they just can no longer afford it. And they're looking ahead and they're saying, you know what? I don't think this is going to get any better. So I'm sure you all can hear this recurring theme. Like this whole thing is based on your ability to look into the future, examine the present, and also respect the past.
Dang.
And it's something that I always say, Stu, money exists in 3 dimensions of time: the past, the present, and the future. If you can get your mind to think about it in those 3 dimensions whenever you're making the decision, it's very powerful. Very powerful. So that's number 3, buy when others start panicking. Number 4, now this is something I've never done, but I want to do this, Stu, but I've never actually done it. I talked to a gentleman the other day. He's done it quite often. And number 4 is purchasing precious metals.
You know, shout out to my homie Terry D, CEO and founder of Boy So Ill Beats, shameless plug. At the twins' birthday, Terry D came through with the best gift of all time. And it was for each of them, it was an ounce of gold.
Wow. I would love somebody to give my kids that kind of a gift. That's a real gift, man. An ounce of gold?
Was it?
Are you kidding?
Let me make sure. Maybe, you know, I still like to colorize stuff. Was it gold or silver? It's put up somewhere.
It was a precious metal.
Not in my house. It's not in my house. But it's put up. But it was gold. It's gold. Okay. 2 ounces or ounce each.
Yeah, no doubt. And Chanel says she wants to learn more about purchasing precious metals. I do too, because research has shown that precious metals tend to perform well when the market is down. And so usually the demand for those commodities increase during recessions, which increases the prices. And these metals are considered safe. So I want to do that too. I've never done it, but it's something I really want to do. And it's something I want to do soon. Like I don't want to keep waiting around to do it, but I want to get some precious metal.
Yeah, Terry D been on precious metals our whole life. He's always sworn by precious metals over stocks.
Over stocks.
Over
okay.
stocks.
All right.
Yep. So, yep. That's a good one.
Sounds like it's working out for him.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get some research real quick on our next one. But the next one is, and people have heard about this, but these are really good. Number 5 is purchasing bonds.
Man, this is crazy, man. I'm this is my lesson tomorrow with my 5th through 8th graders. We're gonna do bonds, loans, man. Bonds? These are loans, man. These are loans with guaranteed rates at maturity dates, you know, so over periods of time. And bonds, what interesting about bonds is they're IOUs, man. IOUs with a guaranteed return at a specific expiration period. And they're normally given out by institutions and large governments, right? So they need a bond to build a role. So let us borrow this money We're going to give you this note, this promise to pay, right? And we promise that it will pay out over this at this rate in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And they're supposed to be pretty solid as well. So the bond market, this is part where I don't fully understand how they guarantee those rates in the bond market. So I need some more research around that. But I like bonds. I've done a couple of bonds. I like bonds.
Well, the reason why they're able to guarantee them is because they've already determined what they're going to do with the money. And so they're forecasting a return that's higher than what they're going to give you.
But my understanding too, and this is this is the clarity. If I'm a government, I see that it makes sense. But much of that money goes towards the project, whether it's a bridge or whether it's a road or whether it's a park or whether it's a school. So what are we talking about? The profits that would I don't understand that part.
So these bonds, it's a lot of different things that happen with them. So like me, I used to work on real estate transactions where bonds were one of the financing sources. So there are other parties that are going to purchase these bonds, and the bonds. So like when you do something like create more jobs,
okay,
those jobs is just another way of creating revenue.
Okay.
So if you go out and you take these bonds and you build a bunch of bridges and roads and all that, and people go back to work, it has a circular effect on the economy, which makes it worth it.
Got to do a little more research. I will promise. I need to do a little bit more research on how, right? That's because I think I'm technical on some of this stuff. I like to know the how, but I know that I've trusted them over the years. I've had a couple of bonds that I've forgotten about, which is what you're supposed to do when it comes to that type of investment. Hopefully it's in the trust and you can just kind of set it and forget it, but that's a good one.
So bonds. So think about bonds if you're out there. We're talking about, remember, this episode is about 7 ways to come up during a recession. And we're basically saying just because it's a recession, it doesn't mean that things have to be bad for you. So we're talking about ways to take advantage of the recession and make it an experience that's beneficial to you. So bonds, as Stu was saying, all it is a loan. Instead of you getting a loan, you're loaning money to the institution. The institution is getting the money because they have a project or something that they need capital for. And so they're taking the money from you. The fact that they can pay you back over time is advantageous to them. They already have forecasted the whole cycle of that money, so they know that this interest rate that they're paying is beneficial. And so now they can take that money and do what they have to do. And they do lock in the interest rate that you're going to get, right? So the time frame, it might be a year, 7 years, whatever it is, you're locking in and they're guaranteeing you that interest rate.
Now, if this is good because that I'm have some aspirations of being certified, right, in this space at some more levels, some more certifications. But what I want is not a but. The bond rate. So you and I can lock in on a bond. You can loan an institution money. They like it. But I come in at a different time. I might lock in at a different rate than you locked in, depending on how we started this conversation, the rate of inflation.
Yes. So the rates do change. That's right.
And the rates change.
The Series 1 savings bond are a good example of that. They were like 9.62% at one point, a couple months ago. They're nowhere near that now. It changed.
That's right.
So you got to catch them. But even I think there's 6 something now. Even at 6 something, that's still great. But like Stu said, depending on when you come in is going to determine your interest rate. So you're locking in. So you're locked in. So
you're locked in. And so
it went up after you got 6 minutes, you can't change.
That's right. So that's funny. I like this conversation, and I like this conversation a lot. because that's a good point. So just like whatever you lock in and be okay with it. You at that point, you can't worry about what else happens after that. Unless it drops, then you might be like, oh snap. But you are still locked in, but it could also go up. That interest rate could go up.
Definitely.
And so that's very interesting. Very interesting. Very, 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 very.
Yes. So another place that you kind of want to work with a professional to figure out to help you determine, okay, it's 9% now. Is it going to go higher than that? Is it going to drop? Because you want to be able to base it on something, so you're not just guessing. But bonds are a big deal. So that's number 5.
Wait, one more point. I know you got a number because we're getting ready to get out of here shortly. But no, look, the other thing about this whole money and investing conversation that I want people to pay attention to is you still gonna have to watch your money, people. This is not a put your money somewhere in investment and then just simply walk away. Like I mentioned, I forgot about my bonds. I forgot about some bonds that I had for probably 15, 20. But you still, despite all of this, you still have to kind of pay attention, have to pay attention to your money. It's not just throw it at investment and then, magically it happens. You have to pay attention to what's happening in your mind. I just wanted to say that. Go ahead, E.
No, I'm glad you said that. And really, again, this episode is really about mindset at the end of the day, right? It's 7 ways to come up. And all of this stuff is really about mindset. Like number 4, if I go purchase some precious metals, I got to get into a different mindset to do that. You know what I mean? Because number 1, I haven't done it yet. Yeah. Number 2, I'm going to do the research. Like my mind has to change for me to actually act on that. Bonds, I have bonds, but for me to get into those, I had to shift my mindset at that time, right? So we're talking about shifting your mindset. We're talking about forecasting, and we're talking about 3 dimensions of time of money. You got to control your money from the past, the present, and the future. You do that, Stu, it's extremely powerful. Extremely powerful.
Hey, they should be paying us for this information, this conversation right now, dog.
This is some good stuff. This is some good stuff that I wish they had told me when I was younger. All right, so we got 2 more. We got number 6, which is investing, and I like this one. Investing in companies with strong histories of paying dividends.
Yes.
Paying dividends. Stu, you want to tell the people what dividends are?
I love dividends. We call them income stocks, right? I love dividends because these are not all kinds. This is exactly how I say it when I teach the young people. Not all companies pay dividends. Not all companies pay dividends. Not all companies pay dividends. Not all companies pay dividends, people. But if you can find companies that pay dividends, those to me are always the best investments. Some companies are paying. A dividend is what companies pay to shareholders, a portion of the profits. A portion of the profits is shared with the shareholders. You can get that portion paid out in cash, or you can get that portion reinvested in more stock, right? But we call these income stocks. We love dividend stocks. What I love most about dividend stocks, Verizon is mine right now. The Verizon is in the tank right now. But guess what? They pay dividends. And so every quarter, I get a little something from Verizon. Thank you, Verizon. Thank you. And so that's what dividend stocks are. Just invest in companies that pay dividends a few bucks here or there, and you should be okay. There's some more technical stuff to it, but I love income stocks or dividends.
And I want to add on to that, which is not all companies pay dividends, but some companies have to pay dividends. Some companies have to pay dividends, specifically companies called REITs, Real Estate Investment Trusts. They have to pay them.
I didn't know that.
So that's just an easy dividend that you can get. Again, do your research. But like Stu said, he talked about that one company that was not doing well, Verizon. Some of these real estate trusts aren't doing that well, but they're still paying a dividend because they have to. Now, is the dividend the same as it was before? No, but they're still paying it because they have to. And so that's something to keep in mind. So if you want to get in the game and start getting some dividends, check out REITs. The other reason why I like REITs is because everybody talks about real estate, and that's beautiful, but you don't always have to be an active participant in real estate. You can be a passive, have a passive role, meaning you get the REIT share, Stu, and you let them do all of the work. They go out and acquire the properties. They go out and do the leasing and this, that, and the other. And you benefit as a shareholder or a person who owns the stock while you're off doing something else.
Love it.
And you get a dividend. That's hard to beat, man.
That's hard. That's hard, man. I love it. I love them. You put me on. I did not know that REITs pay dividends. I did not know that.
Yes, sir. You have to. So definitely check into those. They pay dividends, and guess what? Even during a recession, they're going to continue to pay
those dividends.
So that's a good thing. That's a good thing, everybody. So let me do this for a second. I want to make sure you all know you're rocking with the Money, Sex, Gen X podcast. This is season 6, MSG episode number 38. 7 ways to come up during a recession. Whenever you tap into this episode, make sure you please like, comment, share it with a buddy or a friend that you think would appreciate this really good information about how to come up during a recession, how to think about money and make some moves out here.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to get to number 7, which is one that I know we both know about.
No.
And it's called, okay.
You have to put me on to this one.
All right, DCA, dollar cost averaging.
I'm ready. I'm taking notes.
Dollar cost averaging. Here's the thing with dollar cost averaging, and I'm going to read from my notes. I'm going to make sure I explain this as simply as possible. All dollar cost averaging is basically saying you're going to spend the same amount of money when you're investing all the time. So let's use an example. Before the recession, you were spending $200 per month to buy Nike stock. Let's use another stock. I keep saying Nike. I don't want to keep giving them press right now. Give me another. Say you were, what's another stock we can use? Let's say Apple, all right? Say you were spending $200 per month on Apple stock, right? And then the market went down. With dollar cost averaging, you're spending the same amount of money whether the economy is up or down. So over time, you get the benefit of an average. So if the stocks were higher before the economy went down, you're going to get less shares. But when it goes down, you're going to get more because the share price is lower. So you're still spending $200, but you'll get more or less depending on what the prices are. And over time, it averages out. Over time, it averages out. Now, why is this important? It's because what most people do during a recession is they stop investing. But what if you just kept spending the same amount that you were spending before? And the stocks are cheaper right now.
That's right.
So you would actually come out on top with this dollar cost averaging strategy because you're getting more bang for your buck and you just keep it going.
That's mean. That's mean, bro.
Yeah.
That's mean.
Now you got to hold them. You got to buy these and you want to hold them to get the full advantage. But that's dollar cost averaging. That's dollar cost averaging.
That's heavy, bro. That's well done. Well done.
I was going to ask you if I explained it simply enough, but it
makes sense to me.
All right.
And I promise you to all of my, so I'm about to do something real heavy today, E. I'm already about to tell you this. Y'all better get in tune. This is my lesson for my class today. I'm in like week 7 of a stock market basics class, and I'm helping these are high school students, and I'm helping them change their mindset, right?
Love it.
We're going to watch this episode today. We're going to watch this episode and break this episode down.
That's going to be beautiful.
That's hard, bro. This is hard.
They're going to come out different.
They are different.
I wish I could have seen something like this when I was in high school. I'm not gonna lie.
From guys like us, like this in our language. What?
Powerful. No doubt. That's beautiful. I'm glad you're doing that.
Me too.
Let me know how it goes. I'm going to ask you how it goes later in the week, how that went. See what they thought about it. Okay.
Shout out to the guys. See
yes,
y'all.
Sir.
Mm-hmm.
I like that too, because we said we wanted to start using these episodes as teaching tools. It's cool to do an episode, but we want to make sure that people are using this information to make their lives better. So that's good.
DCA, dollar cost averaging.
DCA. So we used a lot of letters today. The REIT, REIT, DCA. All these things, series one, I savings bonds and all that stuff. All this stuff is very easy to find. All you got to do is Google it. A website that you can use to learn more about investing in stocks and any type of investing is investopedia.com.
Yes.
I use that a lot because I just like how they break down the information.
And I like Google Finance because it's clean.
I like Google Finance.
Stock chart analysis.
Yeah, definitely.
Chart analysis. I love doing analysis.
So you're more of a technical person when it comes
to technical. Yeah.
Okay. I'm more fundamental. And we probably should break that down real quick.
Please.
So and when you're dealing with stocks, there's two different types. There's two different groups of people. There's the technical people like Stu, and there's fundamental. Technical people, what they do is they look at charts and graphs, and they make their decisions based on what's happening on those charts and those graphs. There are patterns that they look for. There's different movements that are signals to them of whether to buy and sell. And you'll see in the movies, these people have all these different monitors on their desk and all that. All they're doing is they're looking at a number of different things, charts and graphs on different assets, different stocks. And they're just trying to see what's happening with them at any given time. But then you got the people in my camp, which I do a little bit of that, but I'm more of a fundamental trader, meaning I'm more looking at the news and current events and information gathering to make my decisions. So let's use an example. We know that Adidas, for example, cut ties with Mr. West. A fundamental trader would look at that news and say, yo, they lost Kanye West. I don't think they're going to have the same amount of sales as they used to. So I'm going to make X decision. I'm going to sell my shares, because I don't think they're going to have the same amount of sales. But they're using the news or a current event to make that decision.
And I, as a technical investor, and I am not a trader. That's another term. Like, as an investor, I'm always looking at long term, and I trust the data, right? So I need at least, I really like to look at 20-year historical data, just to see, just to prove the pattern that growth is inevitable. If I don't see that, then I probably won't invest in it. And especially if I don't know what the company does, if I'm not familiar with that industry, first of all, I'll leave it alone. But I am looking at the story and visualizing the story of the totality of the company versus what may be happening just in real time.
Okay, I'll tell you. And they have this statement that they always say, which I know you've heard it: past performance is not an indicator of future behavior as it relates to stocks. It's worded something like that. But I always thought that didn't make a lot of sense, right? Because if you look at a human being, you're going to think about past what they've done in the past to try to determine what they're going to do in the future. Like, you can't just forget the past.
E-money, man, listen, the fact that you use that term, because that's actually how I approach investing in stocks. And this is for everybody listening too. As you're a human, right? And so as you're a company, some companies start, like I'm looking at Airbnb. They're a new baby. Airbnb is new to the stock market. I think they've only been a year. I think December makes a year. And in this past year, their stock market is like down 26 some odd percent, maybe 30% or something. When I think about a baby, that first year for a baby is struggle season, man. They depend on everybody for everything. They can't do anything by themselves. They need help of people to hold them up and to encourage them, right? To feed them for them to survive. The same with the new stock. Like in the beginning, we're excited you're here, but now you got to figure this stuff out. So you're gonna have to crawl and throw up and be up all night and figure out how the world works. And it, you know, and so what we look at and what I look at is I need some life on this company, right? If it's a new company that I'm investing in, like an Airbnb, they're new to the market. You bet in the beginning it's going to be rough. But if this company like an Apple has 20 years, like a Netflix or like a Nike has 40 plus years of data, what we're looking for as I approach it is, how well does the company perform after a setback? If you think about humans, how well does this individual come back after a setback? They have a setback. Do they fall off the market? Do they go into right? Or do they come back more resilient, more innovative, more stronger than ever before, trusting that there will always be a valley after every peak? And so I'm not so concerned that a company is doing poorly if they have a 20-year plus history, right? So as a human, you made it past 21 years old, 25 years old. Okay, I give you that. Now how are we adjusting along the way from here going forward? And what we want to see in a company is pretty much that they are strong, they have history, they are stable, they know how to fight through tough times. If you look at IBM, you know, and these other types of companies, that's what I like to look at when I'm investing in a company.
True indeed. Great information. Yeah, and that goes back to one of our other points about investing in a downturn. So somebody might be like, well, okay, how do I know that it might go back up? You don't. But you can do what Stu is saying, which is go back and look at their history to see how did they handle it before when things were bad. Just like you would a human being. You know, when certain people get in certain situations and things aren't going well, they're typically going to do what they did last time. It's really not that much different with businesses unless something dramatic has changed. Maybe they have a new CEO, you know, they're doing business in another country, and you have to factor all of that in too. But still, you want to look at the fact that, oh, they made a move to make things better. They're trying to look forward into the future and figure out how do we do business in this ever-changing landscape. Some companies do that well, others don't.
Mm-hmm.
And you can look at that and kind of make a decision for yourself. So even with this whole thing of these entertainers with these companies right now, that's going to be great historical information for us about how do they act when things aren't going well with some of the people that they've chosen to endorse. Did they make too much quick of a decision, Stu? Was it well thought through? How did the company react later? How did the company do 2 years from now after they made that decision? It gives us information to use to our own benefit as an investor.
Wow.
So this is a great conversation.
This is good, man. This is good stuff. This is good. Makes me think about a lot of. And so rule number one, if you've had one of my classes, when it comes to money and investing, and I would say this is probably my number one rule in life, I say it every single time. It hasn't changed in 21 years. Be patient. Rule number one with all of this. Be patient. Be patient. Be patient with your money. Be patient with your relationships. Be patient with your knowledge. Be patient with yourself. Just be patient, y'all. And stay the course. We'll be all right.
Absolutely. Investing definitely takes time. There's no get rich quick in investing.
No. This is my man E Money. You are literally taking words. These are the fundamental principles in which I talk about when we're having this conversation. But what's really important, I want to hone in on this, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world. There are at least 7 ways to come up during a recession. So don't be dismayed out here, y'all. Get to it. Wake up. Get off your behind, right? Stay faithful, right? Figure out a way, right? Go do your homework, right? Get to it. Get to it. We can
No
do
doubt.
this.
No doubt. And guess what? I'm glad you brought that up. So everything that we talked about, you can apply these to your career. So we keep talking about investing and looking at the past, present, and future. If you still are on your job and you're looking at all these layoffs, you can start thinking about, for example, how do I want to invest my time right now? I believe I might get laid off. Should I take my time and start building a company on the side? Or what should I do with my $5,000 per month that I have extra after I pay bills? Should I just put it in the bank? Or should I go back to this list and see how I can get busy with some of this money? Right? Again, not just thinking about one period of time, not just thinking about the present, but the future and what has happened in the past and using that to your benefit in your career. Don't just sit there and let it happen to you. It's like when you're out driving in your car. I feel like the best drivers are defensive drivers. Be a defensive driver in your career. Don't just sit there and wait for them to fire you. Try to look at the news and see what's coming up. You can, a lot of times it's pretty evident what's about to happen. So if you see you're going to probably be let go in a couple months, 6 months or a year, start making moves right now. Don't let them just walk you out the door and you're not prepared. Don't do it. Yeah. That's investing too. It's not always about getting a stock. It's about use of time. That's our biggest investment. How do I use my time? So I'm not trying to preach to anybody. I'm just trying to tell you mistakes that I made and lessons that I learned. I built up a little bit of wisdom. So just think ahead. Think ahead. Absolutely. All right. So here's my burning question for today, Stu. You know, we always have a burning question, Eric's burning question. And it's real simple. I think Stu and I answered it, but I want the audience to let us know. Hit us up and let us know. Are we currently in a recession? Stu and I say yeah. And are you thriving or just surviving? Are you thriving, Stu, or are you just surviving out here? Which one is it?
I'm thriving, baby boy.
I'm thriving. I want to feel like I'm thriving. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm.
You know what? Let me look. I'll explain it, E. Stu's moment of transparency, right? The bank account may say otherwise today, right? We're in recession. It's been tight, you know. Business ain't been booming over the last quarter, bro. Last 3-4 months, business ain't been booming. But thank goodness that I understand where the value is. That's not it. I'm in a valley, yo. Right? I'm a business. I'm a brand. You know who it is. It's your man, Big Stu, Scott Stewart, Professor Stewart. Depending on how you know me, this your man's. And so, how it's gonna be tight on the government? How it's gonna be tight on states and cities, right? And counties? It's tight on your boy. It's tight on me too. You know. So, but we thriving and surviving. Continue to pump out new content. MSG is back. You already know what it is. We're not gonna lay down. You know what I'm saying? We laying the groundwork. We in the books. We're going to classes and seminars, and we out rubbing elbows, baby. We out here thriving, man. That's what it is. It's nothing less. This is our mission, baby. That's what's happening, man. So the answer is thriving. What else is it? What? Not thriving? Right? I'm just surviving. I'm just keeping your head above water. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. That's me, E.
Never. All right. I'm in the same boat, man. I'm thriving. Just doing this podcast, like you said, is an example of thriving. This is an investment.
What else could we be doing with our time on a Monday morning? We both just.
And it's not always, you know what I mean? It's not always easy for us to deliver these episodes. You know, we have families, we have things, but it's an investment for the future. We're not just getting caught up right now in what's going on right now. These are assets. Each episode is an asset, and we are definitely making an investment in these assets. So we're thriving. We're definitely thriving. But what about you out there? We had some people in the chat today. I'm glad you all tuned in. But ask yourself, am I thriving or am I just surviving? And if I'm just surviving, what do I need to do to get to that thrive mindset?
And
Because the
so
biggest reason, Stu, I wanted to do this episode is because we got to be careful in the media about the messaging that's out there. When we hear recession, we automatically think of negative and depressing thoughts and all of that. I want to get to the point where we hear recession, we think about progressing. It's not a recession. It can be a progression depending on our mindset. We don't have to be programmed to think one specific thing when we hear certain words.
I'm just taking notes, E. I'm just taking notes, man, because 100%, man. And this is about mindset. This is about mindset. And so you might be down right now. You might feel crushed right now. Right? But this is about mindset. Like, how do you get there? You gotta want something greater than what you are experiencing right now.
No question. And we got to dig into our pride. Like, yo, I'm not gonna let them play me like that. Like, I'm not gonna just be the victim that they want me to be. That's what pulls me through a lot of times. I'm not gonna be the victim of the recession, and I'm not going out like that. This is a personal sense of pride. Like, whatever I have to do to not go out like that, then that's what I'm going to do. And you could do the same thing. So, yeah, we just wanted to add that in. That's the burning question for the week. Are you thriving or just surviving? We hope that it's the thriving piece. And, if you're not, you can do something about that. Take this information and definitely flip it. And, you might look at this list and be like, I'm not doing all this stuff right now. That's not the expectation, right? Pull one thing. Go get you gold coin just to get started.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get a gold coin soon. I'm gonna do something small. You might be like, you know what? I'm gonna go find something that I can buy that somebody's doing a panic sell for. Might be a small piece of land. I'm gonna go in my Robinhood app and go in the education part and learn how to short a stock before I even put the real money up. You can do that. So, small baby steps. Small baby steps. So that was a great conversation, Stu. It was actually, I got a lot out of that myself, just from hearing your perspective and people in the chat. That was nice. It was nice.
Yeah, I learned a lot from you today. I felt like I was in, you talk about the investment of time. I felt like this was a lesson. This was a workshop today.
Good. Beautiful. All right. So we got to get to our characters from corporate this week. And if you're a new listener, each week we do a segment called Characters from Corporate. People write in, they tell us about a corporate situation that they're going through, and they basically want to figure out, are they a character for how they're responding to this situation? Definitely continue to send in your own personal experiences. We won't use your name, but we will, we'll share with the audience. So this week it's hi, I'm a Black male Gen Xer from Washington, D.C. All right. Shout out to the DMV. I work in a law firm, no doubt. I work in a law firm as a litigation paralegal. And it's open enrollment for benefits. Okay. So open enrollment. I still struggle with understanding the HSA and the FSA. Now, for those of you out there that's not familiar with those terms, it's the health savings account and the flexible spending account. Okay. He says they had somebody come in and talk to us about these. I asked questions, but I still don't get it. Am I a character from corporate since I've been here for 6 years and I still don't know how to use these products correctly? Can you all give me some game in a way I can understand? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I've been there with this.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there. FSA, HSA. Sue, you got anything you want to preface this with?
I've had to use it. I'll just, no. Go ahead, break it down. I'll hold.
Okay. So it took me a long time, but I finally got to an understanding of this. All right. So the flexible spending account is you basically saying, I have a specific healthcare related cost or dependent care. It could be somebody take care of your kids that I want to calculate up front and submit to my FSA so that I can have that money taken out pre-tax. This is about pre-tax. It's about paying for something before you get your check. The key thing is you have to give them the number up front. So it might be like, oh, I know I'm going to spend $3,000 in childcare this year. Okay, you give them the number, they set it up, and then incrementally they take out 3,000 from your check over time, and then you submit a receipt to get that money back. Right? That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
HSA is a little bit different, but kind of the same premise as far as pre-tax. HSA is more, it's like considered more of a retirement product. So you're building up money over time, kind of like a 401k, but it's for healthcare. So they're taking money out of your check. You might be like, all right, take out $100 out of my check every paycheck or whatever. You build up about $2,400 a year, for example. You can take that money and use it for retirement.
That part I didn't know.
Or you can take it and use it now if you have a qualified healthcare expense.
Yeah.
So it's a duality there. You can use it now or you can use it later. Now, here's the third thing I'm going to say about HSA that's one of my favorite things. Say you're at this litigation firm and you decide that you are leaving or they get rid of you or whatever. Oh, yeah. You can take the HSA, it's portable. So it means you can take it with you.
Yeah. It's your money.
You still get to keep your account.
Yeah.
You're still good. You got your money. You can use it now. You can use it later. FSA, if you leave, it's going to cut off at the point of where you left. So whatever you contributed into it, you'll get the benefit of that as long as you submit the reimbursement by the deadline, and you're done. That's how it works. So FSA, HSA. And the other thing I do want to say this again about FSA, please keep this in mind. It is use it or lose it. So if you told them you were going to spend $3,000 for dependent care, somebody to watch your kid, and you don't either do that or keep the receipts and submit them by the deadline, you will lose getting that money back. They don't play about that. It's use it or lose it. Where the HSA is not use it or lose it. If you don't use the money, it's there for you for later.
Yeah.
Now, I know that just because I said all of that, that's not going to necessarily be enough to maybe clear that up. But that's the simplest that I can explain it in terms of the differences. One is more about now, which is the FSA, and the other one is to me more about later, and you can take it with you. You can use both at your job. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be one or the other. If they offer both, you can use both, but it's really about forecasting. Remember, we talked about forecasting earlier. How much am I going to spend for healthcare? How much am I going to spend? You might have a big dental bill coming up. You might need a root canal, and you know the insurance isn't going to cover it all. So you would include that now in your FSA.
Pre-tax.
Might be $1,800. Pre-tax.
That's right.
So it's cheaper on you to take it out pre-tax than to have them do it after your taxes, because it reduces your taxes. It
reduces it. That part. That's part.
Stuff, right?
That's right.
Which that's a big deal. We could do a whole episode on that, pre-tax versus after taxes. But just look into it. It's cheaper to do it pre-tax. Cheaper on you a lot of different ways, but you got to forecast the costs ahead of time.
So I'll say I've had to use FSA and HSA in the past. The flexible spending, I remember it being for childcare, and also if I needed like over the counter medicines, there were some over the counter medicines that you can pay for, whether it's whatever it may be, a lot of over the counter stuff, right? And I even remember being able to pay for like albuterol, so asthma meds and things like that. Right. The HSA, I remember being able to use for copays at doctor's visits. Right. I remember paying into it if there was ever the thought of me having. I think I was sold on it as like the upgrade that I could afford in the hospital stay if I ever had a hospital stay or something like that. The HSA would pick up a portion Yeah, like the insurance wouldn't, like you've already said.
Yeah, you could use it to subsidize the
Yeah,
cost.
something like
Yeah.
that. So I've used them
Yeah.
both. And to my brother from the law firm, is it? Is it a law firm?
Yeah, law litigation firm.
Litigation
And,
firm. You are
yeah,
not a you are not a character from corporate.
at all.
No,
At all. This
it's
is
not.
very complex.
Yeah.
Complex. It's, well, I don't want to say that. It's just not explained well. Not explained well.
Hmm.
I'll say that.
It's
Not
an
explained.
expense. It's a deduction that you can have taken from your check to minimize your income tax when you get paid.
Yeah, and you know what? It's also, say you're out there right now and you're about to get a new job. Find out, do they have that, because it's considered a benefit.
It's
Find out,
considered a
am
benefit.
I getting an F, like, do you all have a FSA program? Do you all have a HSA program? Because you might be on the fence about two employers and find out one of them offers all this stuff and the other one doesn't.
Yeah.
And if they don't, I would consider going with the one that has these benefits, because it's just another way that you're able to benefit from your money.
Yeah. And guys, to the fellas specifically, it was a long time ago since I've had a corporate job, everyone. But to the guys, I even think there were things on there, like, just to be, transparent. It might have been like condoms were probably on there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you got the FSA, so just like a lot of over the counter stuff, and it's just like cool that you didn't have to cut. And I remember having a separate card. Like, I didn't have to spend it, then get the reimbursement. I had to do that for childcare, do the reimbursement form for the childcare expense, but it was after I'd already paid it for the year. And you're right, by like January 15th, submit your reimbursement forms for your childcare. But I had a card for the over the counter stuff, and it's just like I've already paid into it, no taxes on it. So so that was good. That was good.
Yeah, I never, and this is something you'll see, like, it depends on the company. Like, I never had a card for FSA. I always had one for HSA.
Yeah.
So that's cool that you had a card for that. And here's the thing that helped me finally understand this stuff. And yes, you're not my man from DC, you're not a character, because it takes time, but get a list of what's covered and what's not. That'll help you kind of visually, because I'm visual, I need to see it. Like Stu said, it could be condoms, this, that, and the other, but they have an approved list of what you can use the FSA for.
Yeah.
Where the HSA is more, you use your own judgment. Like, you could pull money out of your HSA even if it's not for healthcare related. If they find out, you'll be penalized, but you don't have to prove anything on the front end. You just pull it and do what you do, but you're going to face a penalty if it's not for that and they find out. But the FSA, you're going to have to prove that you got what was on that list.
Okay.
So very different. So no, you're not a character, and we may talk about this again. But if you have any additional questions, let us know. We'd be happy to chime in. Thank you for that. That was a good one. Do we have a pool artist for this week?
We do, man. We do. So shout out to our sponsor, poolofmusic.com, an amazing platform for emerging artists to showcase their talents, right? To get feedback. This week, we're going to highlight a cat by the name of Shies Up. It's a group, actually. Shies Up. And today's song is called Pull Up. So we're going to get into that.
Is this Shies Up like Chicago's Up?
I don't know.
Is that a play on words?
Okay. I don't know. They spell it Chise. Like it is. I don't know if you can see it on the Shies Up. I don't know. Shy is up. Shy is up. Shy.
Nice play on words.
Got a question. Gotta ask.
Intentional or unintentionally.
Let's get into it, y'all. Here we go.
And this is I pull up, she gets out, we get drunk, then head out,
Cause it's money on the way, and I ain't come to play. No matter what they say, every day about my pay.
I pull up, she gets out, we get drunk, then head out,
Cause it's money on the way, and I ain't come to play. No matter what they say, every day about my pay.
I pull up, she gets out, we get drunk, then head out. Lift the blunt to my lips, then light it with a the flick of my wrist. Quick draw, fire flick, hit or miss, get them draws. This excited little bitch, left alone on the island, secondary looking sick. Stare down this receiver, fuck it, cornerback blitz. Cause these corny motherfuckers, they ain't talking about shit. Where there's pleasure, there is pain. On some stormy warning shit. Stop capping, I'm the captain. Watch you go down with this shit. Say hey, what's happening? Yeah, I trapped a little bit, but these cluckers kept on tapping at my window, so I quit. Lost wages, cock gauges, Hollywood type of script. Squad full of goons, feeling like Bump J in this bitch. March to these tunes from Sunday to hump day when I flip money clips. Keep the pace in this race to get rich. The circle still the aim at wealth. Yeah, that's the fam, no one switch.
China's up. Brother, I'm not able to hear you.
My bad. I'm curious to know what the people think about that. I think it's a vibe personally. What about you, man? How'd you like that?
Nice beat. Definitely nice beat.
Definitely. Check them out, man. Check them out on Pool. Poolofmusic.com. Shies up.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure, my brother. We got into some kind of heavy topics today. I think we're very conversational, and hopefully we added some value. Looking forward to see how your class goes about this. And we will see you all next week for another episode of Money, Sex, Gen X. Until then, peace.